Are live. Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Metamorphosis from Trauma to Thriver podcast, where we talk about all things centered around anxiety, depression, PTSD, dissociation, and mental health. I'm your host, Sharon Ann, and today I'm joined by our special guest, Kimberly. Kimberly is the founder of Medamys Holistic Wellness and Goods. She holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in exercise science and is a certified medical hypnotherapist. Awesome. She has a bachelor's degree in exercise science and a certified medical hypnosis. She spent years in the health industry functioning as a fitness director for private, commercial, and corporate fitness centers before retiring to a stay-at-home mom, homeschooling her two children for 12 years. Wow, full-time job there. In 2019, she created Medamys, a business where the medical meets the mystical. I love that. She specializes in helping chronically ill individuals improve their health to have natural childbirth and positive parenting experiences. A lot of alliteration there. Positive parenting experiences. Kimberly, welcome to the show. Is there anything else you'd like to tell the audience about yourself?
We're going to cover like a whole lot, so they'll get to know me pretty soon.
All right, awesome. So the first question I have down is, how do you personally cope with anxiety? And is there any specific strategies or activities that have proven helpful for you?
So for me, a huge component is mindset, perspective, and relaxation, right? This whole idea that we're all meant to be perfect is such a myth. Like, we're not by any means. We're all made perfectly imperfect. And a little bit of my background is I'm a highly empathic person and grew up with a very narcissistic father. So my anxiety and fear of failure was pretty heavy. So, starting my own business was a big deal, right? I found that I really have to face my fears a whole lot, or I'm just going to sit kind of stagnant in life, right? I'm not going to reach my dreams and achieve my goals. So I totally understand how crippling anxiety can be. Not, short term and long term, right? It will keep us just spinning our wheels and not moving forward in life. So my biggest probably turning point was when I got trained in hypnotherapy and was really able to see, kind of be with like-minded people and recognize how we're all living with trauma and different traumas, and how that. And so a huge part of getting past of our anxieties is reframing our experiences, looking at life in a different way, looking at people and our relationships, and really everything in a daily basis, just looking at things with a new set of lenses. And also recognizing that everyone is living through their trauma filter. So when somebody's talking to you, or when you're a great one, right? When you're a parent, is when you're talking to your kids, and it's almost like you relive the experience of you getting in trouble by your parent, and it just sort of like their words automatically come out of your mouth. And if you don't have awareness of that and you don't stop it, you're just going to keep repeating the cycle, that ugly cycle, right? So awareness is really important, of just what is going on with you and in your life, right? How you're moving forward, how you're talking to people, how much you're going to let them influence your life. That's been a huge part of getting over a whole lot of anxiety in my life. And, just deciding that, I'm going to be the master of my destiny, the captain of my ship. And, I want to make the best of this life as I can. And the other part of that is working on relaxation techniques, right? That's stress management, which is huge. And I spend a lot of time meditating and doing hypnosis that I find is just hugely beneficial, mentally, physically, and really empowering, right? Helping me to feel like I'm in control of my mind and my body, what's going on in it. The first time I had a hypnotherapy session with my hypnotherapist, um, many years ago, it was life altering. Uh, the first time that I actually thought away the pain in my body, I was like, oh my gosh, like that just happened. Like I just did that. I can control what is going on in my body. And it totally changed my life. Then I went and I got trained as a hypnotherapist, and, you know, it's just been upside ever since.
That is awesome. That is really, really powerful. I like how you said that no one is perfect. We all have our own baggage. It's so true because society sets us up to be like statues to think that it's all one way, and it's really not. And I like how you also said that sometimes we repeat patterns from our family because our family is our first line of communication. What they teach us is what we believe till we break the cycle, till we see something different. I like how you said that. And I'm so happy for you with like the positiveness with hypnotherapy. I mean, like I can just see it on your face that wow, it was like really transformative, that flow in you. And to use your past to bridge it
Yeah, one of
way for now is just wow. That's the way it should be. Like we get into careers thinking we're gonna be one thing, and then the universe says, no, this is what I want you to do instead.
right. Yep. Always guided, right? Be open to that guidance. That's what I would say, right? Know that there's more out there for you, right? Fulfilling your purpose is huge, right? And I think that was part of my perspective change as well. Like, recognizing, so with my lifetime of chronic illness, I, just deciding like, I don't really believe that I've been put here to just suffer. And then also, even though I have suffered, what is the meaning in that? What am I to learn from that to share with others? And in thinking that it's not just been a meaningless journey, right? Getting out there and sharing what I've learned all these decades, right? Decades of illness, that, people might still be struggling with as well. For the longest time, I figured it was just me, right? How many people sit there and say it's just me? And then now with the internet and all the social media and people sharing their personal lives and intimate moments, like we're all realizing like it's not just me. There are a whole lot of other people out there who are struggling just the same. I mean, we all have our very unique story and our very unique paths that we've gone, but there are a lot of people out there struggling. And so I was finally like, I have to stop being afraid. I have to stop living in fear and just keeping everything hidden to myself and actually start reaching out to people, right? Because if I knew me 20 years ago, I would have been like, "Oh my gosh, give me everything you know. Like, how can you save the next 20 years of my life?"
Right.
Right, right. Like we want that the cliff notes of how to get better. Um, yeah. So I
Right.
finally started facing my fears.
That is true. I like how you didn't let it get you down. It didn't let you weigh you down. You didn't play like the victim role. You're like, okay, this is what it is, and there has to be more. I love that about you. That is powerful. Um, when it comes to chronic illness, what kind of support systems or resources have you found beneficial?
So for me, and kind of the way that I've been outlining my business is energy work is very important. So, like, I'm a Reiki master teacher, and do chakra balancing, right? So your chakras are the main energy centers that run down the center of your body, and they keep things going in the right direction, right? So you can kind of think about your energetic pathway system like the blueprint of your nervous system. So before your nervous system, came to be, right, you had the energetic pathway, and of course you have the auras, your energetic layers that are on the outside of your body too, and you interact with the environment, right? So everything on the planet is energetic
Wow, that's
and
awesome.
magnetic, right? That's how migration happens, right? That's how the birds know where to go, and the butterflies know where to go. Like they have all these like super spidey senses that we've kind of lost track of as humans, but we all have it. And so making sure energy is moving in the right direction, the right magnitude, all that. Nutrition is huge. That was one of the big turning points for me when I finally got really good labs, not just the generic ones that run through the doctor's offices, but really good labs. And my practitioner was like, "Oh my gosh, how are you functioning?" And I said, "I'm not." So, this is exactly what I've been saying for so many years. I mean, my dysfunction really, I figure, started when I was about 5 years old. And by the time my teenage years hit, I was really struggling, and nobody believed I was really having a problem. Uh, and that's epically frustrating, right? And you think there's just something wrong with you, like why can't you act like everybody else, why do you feel like you're struggling, like are you just not tough enough, right? I became a power lifter. I was trying to be as tough as I could be and really figure out why my body wasn't fitting the fitness equation. um and right, it like my system was broken for a lot of reasons, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Um,
Sure.
but finding out what was really going on a cellular level was really important. And because my nutrition's always been really good, the problem is that my health was really, really low. So there's this need for like therapeutic doses of things to get you up to par. And since I was an athlete, I was constantly draining like my nutrient stores. So I was never where I needed to be, and then just kept draining the bucket all the more, which caused more health problems. My big issues particularly were chronic allergies and digestive issues, and everything was like mysterious. Then I started having structural issues, defect that was that is structural and a problem. But anyway, back to my support systems. I always go with energy and balancing, great nutrition, supplementation, getting your head in the right place, right, with meditation, hypnotherapy, and then working on the structural body, especially like if you have chronic injuries you deal with, aches and pains. I use a lot of acupressure, reflexology techniques, real simple things like rolling a ball on the bottom of your feet or between your hands, right? You have all these different acupoints everywhere on your body, rubbing your ears, tons of acupoints. It's kind of like your body is reprinted on your ears, hands, and feet. So you can, rub all over, and you're going to be giving yourself a therapeutic session.
Wow. It really shows you the power of touch. And I like how you mentioned how one thing relates to another. Your mind functions with everything else. Your environment plays a large role in the things. And when you were talking about going to the doctors and the lab works, I can relate because sometimes I find that in my own life, I have to be an advocate, speak up for myself, which is really hard because sometimes doctors think that like they know what's best for you. And sometimes you're like, no, I don't want to do this. And a classic example of that is like how my doctor really wants me to go on birth control, and I'm totally against it. Like I know it's beneficial, It's like, I know my own body. And they've been putting that on me for years. I'm like, no, no, no. Eventually got to a point where it's like, look, I understand what you're doing, but this is my body, and this is how I really feel about birth control. So I can totally relate.
That you have to be your best advocate and recognize that you know you best. I always recommend people take their list into their appointment, right? I mean, it's like we've gotten less and less time with doctors. You need to be on it, right? Have your list, don't waste time. All of your concerns written down, and you go through it. And honestly, I stopped being loyal to physicians. Like, if it's not working, if he or she is not jiving with you, move on. Just move on. Like, there are plenty out of healthcare practitioner as well, right? I mean, with Medamys, I'm like, do both, right? Where the medical meets the mystical. I'm all for the science and the labs. And I really believe that, Western medicine is fantastic for catastrophic care and illness, right? Like, you need to go to the ER, like you just broke your leg, you're in a car accident. Right. I mean, COVID, we were all like, what is happening? Right? We needed all of that science and the super brains and techniques to pull us through. But in terms of preventive care, right, daily lifestyle and wellness, it's not with Western medicine, right? That's much more Eastern medicine, alternative and complementary healthcare. So I find a great mix of both is so important. So I'm definitely not like, I'm a holistic kind of person. So, I don't believe in any of that. Or, that's not where I'm at. I think a wise blending of the two is the best medicine, right? Is the best care. And will help everybody the most. I mean, I've seen it for myself. Um, my labs were able to pinpoint what was the worst, what was kind of, borderline, what I was fine on, right? Because you have to maintain that balance. You don't want to be taking something that you already have plenty of and create another problem and excess. So yeah, just there's value in in all the methods out there.
True. And I'm the same way. I'd rather go the natural route and the two than nothing at all. And sometimes what you really need is a natural route before you go to anything else. It's like sometimes doctors put medicine on us just to have us on medicine. Yeah.
Well, and the problem with medication is the side effect, right? And so what is an organ? Is it causing a deficiency? You never know. And one person can be different from another. Um, as you talk about birth control, I just read an article about, how a teenage girl had died from taking birth control
That's so sad.
because of some of the side effects that it can cause, right? With the cardiovascular system. And it's not something that you hear a lot about,
Right.
but it's possible. And she unfortunately was a victim of it.
And it's so sad.
Not that, I mean, herbs can be dangerous too, just the same.
Right.
So, and supplements, right? You still have to like follow the rules. But there are fewer side effects, I would say, to the natural, because it's a holistic medicine state, right? You have the whole thing, versus medicine, and many medications came from herbs, right? They've just kind of picked it apart though.
Right.
Sure, you have synthetic meds as well, but yeah,
Right. For
the
next,
plants are full.
I have it. What are positive examples of resilience around the context of living with an illness?
Positive examples of resilience, you say?
Yes.
Okay. Well, so probably, I mean, resilience is tough, and living with chronic illness or injury or a defect is really tough. And I know that it's hard to overcome. And sometimes the best plan of action is to pivot, right? So, my daughter, for me, is a perfect example. So she was born with a mild form of spina bifida and dealt with some real motor control issues in terms of like just walking and running, right? Opposite arm, opposite leg for her is tough. Like she has to think about it. And so she took to swimming.
Wow.
And we realized even more how much this motor control issue was for her when she was good at the hardest strokes, right? So because she struggles with opposite arm, opposite leg, she struggled with the commonly easiest strokes, which is freestyle and backstroke. And instead, she excelled at butterfly and breaststroke. And she loved swimming so much, and that was her thing. Um, and, I mean, it's a little hard to find pools sometimes, but that's her thing. And she got more and more into it, went into synchronized swimming, which is now called artistic swimming. And she became a 3-time junior Olympian in artistic swimming.
Yay, that's awesome. Wow.
So she did not let her, her birth defect and her motor control struggles just keep her from living, right? She just found what worked for her and went with it and did the best she could at it, and she did pretty great.
That is really awesome. I love the stories of like powers and impact and overcoming things. That's a powerful story. Wow. And I can
Yeah.
relate to the body and movement and stuff. I love swimming too. And on my end, I was born with like my head crooked because I was like stuffed up in the womb. And I was also born with my feet caved in. So like I'm a runner. And when I run, I don't run like most people do. I run like I'm a penguin. Like my feet are like in a V shape.
Sewed in. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but that's like really awesome that she was able to overcome that. It just shows that you pass on things to her, you pass on traits to her, and she's like, no, this doesn't define who I am. Like you thought her well. Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah. Um, can education and awareness programs contribute to preventing chronic illness? And if so, how?
Sorry, could you repeat the first part of that?
Sorry, I'm stumbling over my words. Can education awareness prevent chronic illness and birth defects? Like the more educated we are, can it help prevent things?
No, yeah, education is key uh, in all of this, right? So my specialty is in chronic illness and birth defect prevention so that couples can have uh, healthy pregnancies and bring into this world healthier, happier children. So, the more we know, the better, just overall. I feel like the information out there right now is very generic. Um, so what I mean by that is there's the general list, right? If you look at right, healthy pregnancy uh, list, you'll find like eat healthy, exercise, or chronic, put it right next to chronic illness, right? They really do go quite hand in hand, right? Eat healthy, take your supplements, exercise, avoid harmful substances, right? Your alcohol, smoking, right? Evaluate your medications, right? As we talked about, can cause all sorts of other side effects, and of course, many absolutely lead to birth defects. One really specific example in terms of awareness is folic acid, right? So that's the big one, right? For birth defects is folic acid, right? Doctors are like, take your folic acid, take your folic acid. Well, unfortunately, folic acid is synthetic. It is not the bioavailable version that would really benefit your body and your baby. Folate is the bioavailable form. And so we get all these prenatal vitamins that your doctors are just giving out with folic acid in, which is going to fill the receptor site that the natural folate needs. So then you're just farther down in your deficiency for folate. So, I think that's crucial education. Like that's just one instance of crucial bit of education that the general public needs. And goes on, and there's a lot about methylation that's huge, right? So some different categories of preventing, right, chronic conditions and birth defects is the huge genetic component. And right, you can make a big difference in what's going on in your body while you're dealing with a chronic illness, and that's the gene expression, right? So there's this methylation cycle, which is one of the few cycles that science and medicine really knows about, and we can actually do something about it. And methylation is so important in the function of every single cell. So when it's dysfunctional, you're most likely going to be dysfunctional as well, because it affects a lot of different systems in your body, right? Your nervous system, your detoxification system, cardiovascular system, reproductive system, and what happens is methylation is involved in turning on and turning off genes. So, and that's how we have the power to change a lot of our genetic factors. Stress management is a huge part of that, but also, right, having nutritional balance in your body and not having such a toxic load, right? So those are like three big things that I would really focus on would be toxic load, nutritional imbalances, and then oh, I just lost my train of thought. It's okay.
Yeah, it's all right.
Oh, stress. That's what it is. Stress, right? Three big ones, right? So but yeah, so the methylation cycle can just really change everything. And if that's off in a person, you can have so much dysfunction go on in so many major systems in your body. And yeah, so did I answer your question all the way?
You did answer my
I just kind of start talking about stuff.
No, it's all good. And like, this is very informative. I'm learning some things I didn't know about, and spent 17 years working in the medical field too, like doing the psychology side of things and how I know about the medical side of things. It's like, wow, now I know how certain drugs affect us overall. And now it makes more sense. And it makes more sense how stress plays into things too. And not all stress is bad stress, but apparently the bad stress really acts with the medicine.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that we can do, a lot of things we can control to improve our health, which is great, just naturally, right? And a lot of it starts with our thought processes, right? How we're going through life, how we're perceiving things, dealing with past trauma is a big part of it, right? Like I say, we live through through our trauma filter, right? Trying to get rid of that trauma filter is the key, right? It was peeling it away like an onion, layer by layer, really is a huge part of improving overall health term, right? And not just that, right? It doesn't just affect us, it affects our future generations. There is something called carried emotions and genetic, right? Generational trauma, where, some say, Pia Melody talks about it a lot.
Yes.
And she talks about, right, carried emotions for 4 generations. And there have been studies, there was a study in worms where there was the essentially like the carried emotions are 14 generations, right? Where those symptoms, like symptoms such as anxiety, would be carried for 14 generations. So, like the call to action here is to address your baggage now, right? Address your trauma now so that you're not passing it on to your wonderful children so that they have to deal with it. And not only like they deal with it on their own, but they deal with it through you as well. If you're still struggling with it, you're functioning through that filter. And that, right, we need to start softening that and thinning that out so that we can really live as our true authentic selves, as opposed to being, living through our burdens.
Right. Or putting on that mask where everything's fine. Nope, everything's fine. But like, what is fine? There's always more to just, I'm fine. Yeah.
Mhm.
Reflecting on personal experiences, how has your perspective on anxiety or birth defects evolved over time?
Oh my goodness.
I know it's a heavy
That's like a big
question.
one. Holy cow. Okay. So, right, like I mentioned with anxiety, it was that fear of failure for me. It was just kind of driven in to my brain like all through childhood, right? You can't do anything right. What are you, stupid? All those hateful little sayings that, parents can jab at their kids. And part of what I do is help parents be aware of that, right? Be aware of your words, because those first 7 years, especially, of your child's life, they have no filter. They are wide open, where you just whatever you dump in, they take in, and it's just locked in there.
Yeah.
It can be awesome or horrible, and unfortunately, so many good and intending parents end up damaging their kids. They don't even realize it. So, awareness. There's that right need for awareness and education. That really, right, parenting is one of, if not the most important job that somebody can have. Right, you're literally molding a human being. You're like, okay, now hit the world with what I gave you.
Right.
It's really important that parents have education. I don't know why there's not just like that. It's like a life skills class in high school, right? That always needs to be amped up, right? The kids need way more life skills before they hit the road. And I think parents need a lot more education before they become parents. I know I did.
Well, I'm not a
Um,
parent, so I can't really relate to that, but I can relate to what you're saying about like learned behavior and model behavior. And when
mhm.
I was in school, which was eons ago, we didn't really have a life skill class, which was pretty sad. We had critical thinking, and that was it. That's pretty sad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, kids get out there and they don't even know how to like balance a checkbook. Um, but okay, so the reflections, right? In terms
Right.
of anxiety, lots, right? Just a lot of it is, for me, was moving from the state of living as a victim to living empowered. That was really big. This idea that life wasn't happening to me, but happening for me really changed my life, right? It's not happening to me and I just have to sit there and take it like a victim. It's happening for me. It's giving me these opportunities. What am I going to do about it?
Yes, it shows that
Right?
perspective is everything and not
So
everything is black and white. Like we think
you
it.
have to decide if you're going to step up or not. If you're just going to stay in the background and be like, woe is me, right? There is, unfortunately, right? And it's hard, and I get it, right? A lot of that self-pity, right? Why did this happen to me? This is awful. This is not the life that I wanted, right? I have dealt with plenty of, you know, um, chronic illness, right? Like organ dysfunction and also injury. And right, a lot of it just mysterious, where everybody's like, I don't know what's going on. And so ultimately, that was how I found hypnotherapy, was like, it's got to be in my head, right? It's got to be, I'm thinking, I know physiologically, right? As an exercise scientist, I know that the brain tells the body what to do. Your central nervous system is the motherboard, and it's saying, pick up your leg. It's saying, take a step forward, right? So why would my brain be telling my stomach to not digest its food? Why would my brain be telling my um you know my sinuses to produce a massive amount of mucus, right? Like, so really digging into the roots of what you have going on is so important. And it's important to be honest with yourself and really ask yourself how much you want to change, how bad you want to live a different and better life, right? Are you willing to do the hard dirty work of evaluating yourself and how you might actually be contributing to what's going on in your life? Because our thought patterns can be toxic, right? Our self-talk. And again, a lot of it's not our fault, right? It's that learned behavior, the everything that we learned, everything we were told, we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, um, we're not lovable, we're not worthy of attention, right? All these things, right? And they're just these beliefs, negative beliefs about ourselves that we have to face. We have to face if we want them to change.
Wow.
I mean, but I
No,
know
this is
I
good
have
stuff.
asked
This is really good stuff.
me. Okay, so that was just anxiety. Let me see. So reflecting on chronic illness.
Oh, I see you're going to touch each one. Okay. Power to you.
I mean, I realized, well, kind of like what I said, right? Was just that the mind controls the body. So what can we do about that? And I think way early on in my childhood, I had read about um, people with multiple personalities.
Yeah.
And that was the first moment in time where I was like, oh my gosh, maybe I don't have to feel this way. Because when you look at some of those situations and you have someone who is just fine as personality A, and they're powerful, they're confident, right? They stand upright, they're like type A, driven, motivated, successful.
Right.
And then personality B has allergies, like bad allergies. They're timid and you know dysfunctional in different ways, right? And it's like, wait a minute, this is the same body. This is the same physical body run by a different mindset.
It is fascinating, but yes.
And that was the first moment of, I guess, glimpse of hope, right? Where I was like, I shouldn't have to live like this. I shouldn't have to live with all of this dysfunction I'm having. I need to figure out how to address what's going on in my mind. And it's made a huge difference.
And I can tell the smile on your face, the glow, what you've been sharing. It's wow. It is powerful testament.
But it's not to say that it's like this one quick immediate fix. It's not. I mean, it's still like
A work in
it's a
progress.
journey.
Yeah.
It's a journey, and there you will have setbacks and you have to just right decide that you're gonna it's like going to the gym, right? When you miss a day or two, you don't have to keep missing, you just have to go back, right? You have to keep addressing what's going on and keep speaking the positive self-talk to yourself. Don't listen to the negativity coming in either, right? Be confident in who you are and how you want to be, and decide that you're just going to live your life better, right? And if you want to ask somebody for their opinion, then don't take it when they're giving it to you, right? So it's not worth it. And yeah, so it is a journey. It's a process. And the more you practice it, it's like meditation and hypnotherapy, the more you practice it, the easier it gets, right? Where you can get into your meditative state faster because you've been working at it and you know what to do. The same thing, right? When the negative thoughts come into your mind, you're like, no, I'm not that person anymore. This is who I am and how I'm going to live.
Yes, like Jimmy Cricket and his conscious little Pinocchio effect.
Yeah.
So this wasn't part of the question. It's just something I came up with. How come when people face chronic illness, some are able to pull themselves together and act normal, go out into society, and others are just like so worn down to where they just can't even do anything? Like, what's the basis behind that?
Well, I think that probably has a lot of different components. When you look at causes of chronic illness, it can be a multitude of things, right? Where maybe the first thing is maybe somebody's just addressing their issues better than the other, right? The person who's improving, they may have been able to identify what's going on, right? Maybe they got out of their moldy house, uh and the other person doesn't even know. But like we talked, education is key, right? To
Right.
even be aware that these things can be problems for you. um are you chronically ill because of an environmental factor like that? Is it more lifestyle, right? You get somebody who doesn't want to quit smoking. That's huge.
Yeah.
They're going to stay sick. There or substance abuse overall, and then that goes back to their way of thinking, right? Getting over substance abuse takes a lot of mental work,
Right.
and some people just they have to be ready. You can't make anybody be ready to change.
That is key.
Uh,
Very key.
you just can't. I mean, they have to be ready to face their demons, and if they're not, all you can do is kind of, support them as best you can, check in on them. But it's hard work. It's hard work to address your trauma, and to maybe clarify a little bit more. Like when people develop behaviors like that, like we'll use smoking as an example, because I do help people with smoking cessation. It may be that they started smoking because at the time it was a positive connection to maybe a lost family member, right? So one instance was a woman who started smoking after her aunt died, because when she was younger, she would sit with her aunt. The aunt smoked and they had their bonding time. So then when the aunt passed away, this woman started smoking as that connection, maintaining that connection to her aunt. So if you can work on that reasoning, uh, for starting the behavior, right? you address the emotional aspect of it and try to replace that negative habit, that negative behavior with something positive that can work to help the person get rid of the smoking and then have a more positive way to connect with their lost loved one.
I love
So
that.
there can be a lot that, right, a lot that can go into it, and it's a lot of, like I said, it's a lot of soul searching, being honest with yourself, really wanting to change is huge, right? And I mean, we talked about just all the other things that can go into chronic illness, like the environmental factors, right? Like things like heavy metal toxicity, like lead poisoning was big when I was growing up because kids were eating the lead in the paint
Yeah, I know.
off the
Camping and stuff.
windowsills, and
Yeah,
right, right, that's a big deal. But if you don't even know that that's what's going on, it's hard to address.
right.
So there is a lot to deal with. Unfortunately, we have all those wonderful labs now that you can look for those things. But so yeah, it's there can just be so many reasons why somebody would be getting better and somebody else wouldn't.
Thank you for explaining that in detail. I really appreciate that. Do you have any last words or any information that you would like to share to inspire others?
Um, Kind of like how we started off, right? Love yourself as being perfectly imperfect because nobody is perfect and you're made just the way you're supposed to be. We're all unique individuals. And I truly believe, we're here for a reason. And I think if you focus on what your purpose is and how you're to impact the world, it's going to change your life. It takes the focus off of you and puts it on your service to others in this life, and it makes such a difference. Right, and keep visualizing your best life, the one that you want. Journal about it, write it down, imagine, sense, and feel it, right? Feel gratitude for it as if it's already happened. Like draw it to you. And we mentioned this with the doctor's appointments. Be your own advocate. You know you best. Don't let anybody try to tell you different, right? If you know in your gut that you need something different, move on and go find it. And lastly, I would say never stop trying to live a better life. Never stop trying. I know that's so hard, and I've had so many deep, dark moments, but it's worth continuing putting forth the effort. And I certainly do a lot of praying and meditating, right? Praying is asking, meditating is listening, and just reaching out to the spiritual side an awful lot to try to find that guidance and listening to your intuition um, is so key, and believe in yourself because you matter. Everybody matters. We all have our special place in this world to create our own ripple.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you, Kimberly. If you would like Kimberly back, please let either one of us know. If you have a topic you would like more to know more about, please let us know in the comments. Thank you so much for your time, Kimberly. I hope the audience benefited from your topic. Until next time, bye for now.
Thanks so much.
Bye, everyone.